Today we are talking about the rise of the illustration rare. Now, these cards have known to be carrying sets like Paldea Evolved, Paradox Rift, we got the Magikarp and the Groudon. This video is not about those big IR cards, it's about the lesser IR cards. We've been seeing some massive gains, starting with the Sawsbuck and Deerling from Temporal Forces. These are a connected art card. Super adorable, right? Great cards. Finally seeing some good value out of these guys. Up 115% in the past 3 months on the Sawsbuck, from a low of about $8, $8.20, up to $18.26. However, the most recent sale is actually $22.80. Before that, $15, $17. So we'll see if this holds. There's not a ton of copies, but there's a decent amount. 67 currently listed on TCG. If you wanted to pick one up, you'd be at about $15 from a reputable seller. Nothing wrong with that, but it connects to the Deerling, so you gotta have them both. The Deerling's up 167% in the past 3 months. Also, we'll touch on the 1 year chart. I always forget to do that. Went from just under $5 up to $13, with most recent sale being actually $15. So before that, $12, $11. Nice to see on the, just a not super popular Pokemon just getting some love. It's just, these are nice arts, so it's just nice to see. Temporal's popping off, the whole market's popping off, right? So, I mean, that's definitely playing a factor, but it's nice to see. We'll zoom out to the 1 year here. 72% growth off of the pre-release price of $7. Looks like the lowest you could have picked this card up for was about $3, $3 to $4 on the Deerling. We'll take a look at the Sawsbuck. Zoom out here. 1,046% growth on the Sawsbuck. Pre-release prices were a low of $1.62. You could have picked this up for $1.62, and this is worth $18. More realistically, though, if you missed that, it was about a $5 card for the period of a few months. So, yeah, nice to see there. We've talked about all these cards a long time ago. I went back and dug through all the IRs, picked out just like artwork-wise. Like, this was one of the ones I was like, hey, this is, in my opinion, an undervalued card. The Sawsbuck and the Deerling were in there, too. A lot of the cards that are in this video we had talked about, including the Merill. Now, the Merill's up almost 200% in the past 3 months, from $9 up to $27. Most recent sales, 23, 22. There's a 30 in here, a 26, and another 30. There's some 30s in here, so this card might be going up to 30 market. Only 37 copies, so less copies available. If you wanted to buy one from a reputable seller, first one right here is $27.50 for the Merill. Absolutely adorable card. I love everything about this card. Let's take a look at the 1 year, though. We are seeing, obviously, 1 year high on the Merill, 252% growth. This was a $7, $8 card all day long for almost a year. I had a little run up here where it hit 12, that it came back down. So, yeah, illustration rares are dominating the space right now. Absolutely insane. It seems like SIRs have been up here, right? And then finally, with all this momentum in this bull market, it's like the illustration rares can finally grow. So it's just nice to see. Then we got the Metagross. So this is from Temporal Forces. This one, not as crazy. 35% growth, though. Super solid. In the past 3 months, it went from $10. It did hit a high of 15, came kind of down off that, back up to 14. Most recent sales are a little lower than that, 11, 12, 11. But then there's a 17 and a few 17s in there, and a 19 at the bottom. So, interesting to see. This Pokemon is featured in the new anime, and I just like this card, Christmas time. I don't know if that's playing a factor into what's going on right now, but you see a lot of sales right here at $12, and that shot that price up. We'll do a little zoom out to the 1 year. And this is barely up off pre-release prices, but it is up 8%. Pre-release prices, usually high. Went from 13, crashed down to 4. But from 4 to 14, that's super solid growth on the Metagross. Now, the next two cards we're going to take a look at, these are bigger cards. I said we weren't going to do the big cards. These aren't the leading cards in the set, but Stellar Crown, I got to give the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur some love. These cards are adorable. They go with the Charmander promo from Obsidian Flames, if you're not familiar. They're all playing with the Pidgeys. Super adorable, great cards. But 32% growth. This card went, and just in the past 3 months, went from just below 40 up to a high of 56. They have market at 53, but the most recent sales actually at 60, 53, 53, 54. So that market price maybe seems about right. If you wanted to pick one up, 53 from a reputable seller is the cheapest you're going to get it, which is that market, so that makes sense. The 1 year chart is going to show an interesting start. We don't need to go 1 year. Can we do 6 months? 6 months. Pre-release prices were at 48. dipped down to 38, and then obviously we're coming off of this all-time high for the Squirtle, 55, just barely off of that. So pretty much at its all-time high for the Squirtle. The Bulbasaur up a little bit more, 45% growth in the past 3 months from a low of 31. Same thing, it's just coming off of this high, 47 back down to like 45-ish. Last solds though, 2 at 51. Before that, 45, 32, 45, another 51. So we'll see if this one continues to run, if it can give the Squirtle a run for its money. Nice gains, super adorable. I love him sunbathing in the window, absolutely adorable. I have this 3D printed Bulbasaur planter, like a little planter thing. He's like holding a Pokeball, and we have plants in it, and it's by our kitchen window. So pulled this card too from the set, so that was really fun. Love this card. Love the Pidgey aspect, just great cards. The 1 year chart, it's down off of pre-release prices. They were high at 50. So 51, if this 51 holds, it would be barely above pre-release. But realistically, you could have picked this card up for 30 bucks, 30, 32. And so yeah, pretty decent gains on the Bulbasaur. But we are just getting started with these illustration rares. This is one we talked about too, from Temporal Forces. We talked about this a long time ago. Just a nice, adorable card, the Linton. 61% growth in the past 3 months from a low of about 530 up to 1050. They market at 1047. 129 copies available. I don't know, we'll see if this one lasts. You could pick this up for 10 bucks right now. Pretty much market. The 1 year chart, we'll see what that does. Pre-release prices were at 7. Then it ran all the way down to just under $4 and back up to around 10. So that we're at an all-time high for Linton. Just an adorable card. Just an adorable card. There's lots of copies available, right? It's just nice to see. It is really nice to see these illustration rares gaining some value. I know for sure we talked about this card. I just said, maybe not the most popular Pokemon, but I thought that this artwork was super cool. And this card just popped off recently. 100% growth in the past 3 months. It went from sorry, I always try and I should keep the card in picture because I like to scroll down to get the chart, but we don't need to. From about 350 up to 670. Dollar-wise, not the craziest gains, but percentage-wise, that's pretty good. So this is now like a $6 card. Last solds are kind of all over the place though. 350, 8.99, 3, 8, 3, 4. So we'll see where this one ends up, but a lot of people, looks like somebody bought a ton here at $3.30 on the Toad Scroll. Just artwork wise, cool card. I like everything that's going on in this guy. You can pick one up for $5 right now, which would be a little bit below market. So this probably going to come down when we see these violent shoot ups. Usually they'll come down, they'll retrace. It happens on like every card eventually. They have to, right? They can't just go up forever. And especially on a not super popular card. But what we want to see is this setting a higher low. So when this settles, we want to see this settle higher than $3. So somewhere around here in this $4.50, maybe even $5 range. 4 or 5 would be pretty good gains over 3. The 1 year chart, it's up 77%. This card did have a previous run. It went from, you could have had it as low as in the 2s in April, but it ran up to 630 before. So we are at a 1 year high on the Toad Scroll. So that's interesting. It ran up, came back down, stagnated, and ran up again. But yeah, so that's nice. Another adorable card here. Like just these illustration rares. The Pokemon Company, since SV Base, has been giving us the best artwork we've ever gotten in any era overall. Like I know that there's a ton of alt arts that like I love from Sword and Shield, but Scarlet Violet, hands down the best artwork we've ever gotten. So this Mantike, love this card. 38% growth in the past 3 months from a low of 470 up to 790, although they have market at 820. Most recent sales around $7, 7, 11, 11, 7, 10. And the reason we're talking about these lesser cards is just to make you guys aware. If you have this card, maybe you pulled this Mantike from Paradox Rift, maybe you pulled some of the other cards, that they're going up in value. That's why I do daily collecting and investing videos, just so you guys are aware of what is going on in your guys' collection, okay? So it's just to help you guys out. Maybe like, oh, I didn't know that card. That card went up. I pulled that card and I didn't care about it, and it's in a box somewhere, you know? It's worth a little bit more now. It's just nice to do. You can pick this up for $5.30 right now from a reputable seller, so that would be well below market. So once again, this card might be coming down. I mean, that's what we see. However, definitely at an all-time high, or at least 1 year high for the Mantike. A lot of sales back here at 3, and yeah, so Steady growth, 127%. And you bet your buns we talked about this card. This is the Arbok from Temporal. Stunning. Absolutely stunning. I wish this would have been an SIR. If this would have been an SIR, this card would have popped. But 37% growth. I know that this is, this along with most of the IRs, pretty tough to grade. 37% in the past 3 months, from about $6 up to $9, and then came back down a little bit, so around 8-ish. Last sold's 8.50, 12. Well, let's call this 13, 7, 6, 8, 9. So yeah, pretty consistent market price at that $8 price range. You could get one for about that $8.38 from a reputable seller. See what the 1 year chart looks like. I think this had a run up earlier, kind of. Yeah, I think pre-release came out at 6, went all the way down to 3.70, back up to 7, back down to 5. So coming off of an all-time high for the Arbok, popular enough Pokemon, heavily featured in the anime, original anime and stuff, right? So just with the moon and everything, this is a nice card. I could see this card continuing to run in the future, blowing past these prices, but we'll see. We'll see. You know, the market has to decide that. The Lickitung, we got a Lickitung up 65%. Another illustration rare from Temporal Forces. Probably one of my least favorite from Gen 1, just as a Gen 1 lover, but still, 65% growth from $4 up to $7. Once again, these aren't all dollar-wise necessarily the best, but percentage-wise is where we're seeing the big gains. 65% is really good, especially in a 3-month period. So yeah, 148 copies available. Last solds 5, 8, 8, 3, 6, 7, 5. So about 5, and there's some 9s before. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to tell. You got to see where it, like when these cards pop off, you got to see where they level off at. So yeah, we'll see where the Lickitung ends up at. But 48% growth over pre-release prices, which were at $4.80, and it went down to like $2. You could have had $2 up to $7. So that's some pretty good growth. If you bought a bunch of copies of the Lickitung, yeah, you'd be doing well for yourself. Then we got this little mouse, the Cino. Is that how you pronounce it? Not as good of gains, but 20% in the past 3 months, from a low of about just under 7 to 8.40. Not as crazy. We'll zoom out here. Not even at pre-release prices. Pre-release was 14, 13. And yeah, it's kind of stagnated around that lower price for a while. Just a little bounce in the recent times. Not one of the better performing ones. Then you have the Grotle. The Grotle is up pretty big, 65% in the past 3 months. Love, wish this was a final evolution, but he's leading the way, carrying the it's adorable. It's adorable. 65% growth in the past 3 months, from $3. It's coming off of 570. It's about 540 market. Decent amount of copies. These cards aren't that hard to pull. 157 available. 385, 380 to 6, 7, 7. So this one might be coming down a little. Not surprising. We did touch on most of the better cards at the beginning. Not that these ones aren't good, but now this one has a pretty solid chart. Pre-release price was at like $2.70, and it's ran up over 100%. Its low was under $2, $1.77. So those would be some pretty good gains if you picked that up. Excuse me. Then we have the Shiftry. Once again, not as good of gains. This is from Temporal Forces. 25% growth, from $3.70 up to almost $5. Most recent sales actually higher. I don't think that's going to hold. $7.10. That would be kind of interesting. Before that, pretty consistent, like $4, $3, $6. Throw a few 6s in there. It is artwork style is pretty cool. Pokemon, probably not so much, but I do like the art style of this. It's a cool looking card. I don't think you can really deny that. Just maybe you don't like the Pokemon. It's up just a little bit off pre-release prices, which were at almost $4, and a low of $2.30. Then we got the Goip Pod from Paradox Rift. And you're going to see a common theme here towards the end. A lot of these are up similar percents. 23% in the past 3 months. But if we go to the 1 month, it's up 31% in the past month. So yeah, from a low of about 9, just over $9 to 13. Pretty decent gain on that. Zoom out to the 1 year. It's down on the 1 year. It had a run where it went up to 17, and it's fallen all the way off. Had a big run, or big consistent between like 11 and 13, and fell off. Now it's finally just getting back. So this one's just one of those ones where it's just like kind of a cool artwork too. Yveltal, we've talked about. Not as crazy. 17% in the past 3 months, from a low of 11 up to 15. 11 to 15 is pretty good. They have market at 1486. Last sold's 12, 13, 14. There's a 2450 sale in here, and that's kind of interesting. This, once again, illustration rares, tough to grade. A lot of people, if you get the PSA 10, they sell for a lot as a rule. So a lot of people probably picking this up to grade, possibly for grading plays. Although I don't buy, if I'm buying off TCG, it's usually not to grade, just because you don't really see pictures. I like to go, anyways. This card in the past year is up 116%. It was like a $5-6 card for a long time. Ran up to 17, came back down to, it looks like 11 was the low, and now it's kind of rebounding off of that. So same thing, setting higher lows. We're seeing 11, 12 after it was $6. So definitely a big gain on the Yveltal. Then we got the little Cyclizar. This one's just a fun card. Super adorable. They're all just chilling there, loaded up on with their packs and stuff. This one's got a water bowl. 52% growth in the past 3 months. Once again, not a big dollar card from 2 to 3. Percentage-wise, good gains. We're not going to dive too deep into this guy. The 1 year chart's actually up 50% on the year, and its low was $1.80. From $1.80 to, yeah, so that's pretty good little run off of that low for the Cyclizar. Then we got Joltik, 34% up. Adorable. He's sleeping on the, what is this, Yamper, I think? Let me know in the comments if that's right. I think that's Yamper, right? Yeah. The Corgi type dog. 34% from about 480 up to 730. Looks like it's coming down off of that into the 6s. Last solds, there's a 12, 4, 12, 4s. Yeah, this one's coming down, unfortunately. But it's a cute card. 41% growth. This one's from Paradox Rift. Then we got the Swablu from Paradox Rift as well. This one's just adorable with the Wingles. He's just, I don't know if he thinks he's a Wingle and he's just living with them. I don't know. Swablu. This is another just fun, cute card. From 446 up to about $6, so pretty decent little run. The 1 year chart shows pretty good growth, 65% over the year. Its low was 3, so yeah, we're at a 1 year high on the Swablu for sure. We got Loudred, Paradox Rift as well. This one I like just because of the colors. It just got a lot going on. Kind of reminds me of, like, I don't know, I kind of get like Splatoon vibes a little bit from it. But 23% growth from 7 up to 940. Pretty solid. 1 year chart shows 81% growth. 480 was the low. Its previous high was around $10, so it's getting close. If it can get back to that $10 mark, that'd be interesting to see. Oh, I should have put this next card. I should have put this card up sooner. My gosh, I got something in my throat. I absolutely love this card. We talked about this one in that video a long time ago. I love this Magby. Everything about this card is perfect to me. And once again, I'm not the biggest like Magmar or Magby fan. It just really resonates with me. I really love this card. 30% growth from 7 up to 9. Last sold, they're showing 11 though. Probably won't hold. There's a lot of copies. 9, 8, 4, 5, yeah, 9's back here. There's another 12 down here. So that'll be interesting to see. Love this card though. Absolutely adorable. Yeah, you can pick this up for about $8 right now, which would be below market from a reputable seller. This card just really calls to me. Then we got Porygon Z from Paradox Rift as well. This one's pretty decent gains. 40% in the past 3 months from a low of just under 6 up to about 950. It's kind of came off that a little. Porygon, not a very popular Pokemon, I don't think, but this is like gamer Porygon. He's got, I don't know, he's got his keyboard, his mouse. I don't know if he's got like audio mixers here. He's doing big things. Porygon's on the grind. I like the hat. The hat matches the Porygon, so that's fun. Very solid on the 1 year, 100% growth from just like $3-4 up to where it's at now. Nice to see for the Porygon. And then lastly, something from SV Base. I thought when I pulled this card originally, like when SV Base first came out, I just thought this was a cool looking card. You got the King Gambit, 31% growth in the past 3 months from a low of 3. It did go up to 470, almost 5, came back down. Now it's at like 430. There's a lot of these available, 286. SV Base had some really easy pull rates, so that's going to really affect things. I don't know how crazy some of these SV Base cards can go. Pretty much 4 sales across the board, so that seems about right for market. Nothing too crazy. The 1 year chart, it's went from 4, I've never seen this. It's even. It doesn't show plus or minus. And literally in the last year, went from 443 to 443. I've never seen that happen on TCG. What are the odds of that? Well, it did fluctuate in a range of a high of 475 to a low of 299. Once again, I'm not bringing up some of these cards to say, oh, invest in the King Gambit, buy the King Gambit card. That's not what I'm saying. There's some cards in here that maybe, but I'm not saying most of these lesser cards. I'm just showing you guys the gains that we've had. Okay. But yeah, I do like this card though. I do think it's fun. But yeah, easy pull rates. There's a lot of copies available, so it's not like King Gambit's going to take off. However, there is something to be said for grading some of these cards. If you have clean copies, really clean copies, consider grading them because they are hard to grade, and there are collectors who will collect every single card in a PSA 10. So there is a market for that. So just making you guys aware. I don't know what the King Gambit's going for in a PSA 10. If you know, let me know in the comments. I don't know. I haven't looked. But yeah, in summary, illustration rare. It's the illustration rare's time to shine. Obviously, like I said before, the market is doing big things. So everything's pretty much doing good right now for the most part. Not everything. There's always, you can find stuff going down. But as a rule, the market's doing really good. So I just wanted to highlight some illustration rares that are doing well. Maybe your collection's going up in value. That's going to do it for this one, guys. I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.